welcome to this episode of the Digipod. My name is Fariha Aziz. Today I'm joined by Maria Patel. Maria is an independent researcher, also with Disinformation.Asia. We are speaking about fact-checking in the age of information warfare, the use of AI. Maria, thank you for joining us today. So Maria, in an age of information warfare, how do you go about fact-checking? In terms of what is at your disposal, because we've seen that this has become sort of, fact-checking units have sprung up, even in newsrooms now, this is sort of like the buzzword that you have to. How would you go about fact-checking, especially we've seen now at a time of conflict? What tools are at your disposal to fact-check?
So fact-checking has become very difficult over the years, and it is not as simple as it was there's one tool for video editing or video fact-checking, or there's one tool for photos fact-checking or website authenticity fact-checking. There's not one tool anymore. And of course with AI things have changed, and fact-checking LLMs have also evolved because of AI LLMs. So it is the large language models have impacted the fact-checking, the overall fact-checking of any information. Basically with the social media and so many social media tools also bringing their own generative AI tools for fact checking, things have muddled between the flow of information and how you are going to find out what is true. At the same time, we have also seen the community nodes, which have been being used generally, but now people are shifting from, for instance, one of the basic social media, X, for instance, which was Twitter. Now they have shifted from community nodes to their own Grok, an AI generative tool, fact checking tool, and Facebook has shifted from the fact checking tool towards community nodes this year. So this was a very big shift in terms of that what is the right model, because the big tech is also very confused about how to go around the information paddling. Every media is used for that, and every government uses the social media for their own benefit. It has been understood by all the governments or by all the states that how important it is to use the social media and flow of information, how to use that for their own benefit. In terms of information warfare, when we talk about information warfare, or how it is how the information is used to look into the conflict, or how it is impacting conflict, it is very hard to tell it's just impacting one conflict. It's we can look at it in the most recent in our memories, when Joe Biden was the president, and the president of Mr. Netanyahu from Israel went to Joe Biden and showed him the pictures of beheaded children, and said see, this is what Hamas did on 7th October. And that's Joe Biden came on screen and said I saw it myself. That itself says how information has been misused. And it was the images which have been shown were AI generated, which were not could not be fact checked. Similarly, in the very recent history, last month, when Mr. Trump met the president of South Africa, he showed on the picture of white genocide. And in that white genocide picture, he said this is happening in South Africa. And that picture was actually from somewhere else. So information in this time, when you see the heads of the state are using these pictures without verification, how can you use it effectively? So these tools has to be used with the human intelligence and also with the AI, not just the fact-checking tools alone are also not open source anymore, most of them. That is also becoming a very big challenge for the fact checkers, because if you will not make the information is open source, then the fact checking should also be open source. It should be supported by the open source systems. So that's what I feel, that it is becoming more difficult. If you want to
So you mentioned human intelligence, and also political leaders are using AI generated, and then there's this bit about context as well, right? And misleading context that they use it in. Obviously, there is a particular purpose. Disinformation benefits certain narratives. So part of it is narrative building. But when we're also seeing in, for example, like you also mentioned, play out at a time of conflict. For example, the recent India-Pakistan conflict, where social media is where everybody was getting their information, right? So we saw images and reels and videos and all kinds of things. I want to bring up one example, because you've also mentioned AI. Now, the Rawalpindi Stadium, there was a picture on X that it had been razed to the ground. And when you put in the query into Grok, because now platforms have integrated, as you said, it said yes, that the picture was accurate. Can you explain a little bit? Because we know that that didn't actually happen. Eyewitness accounts tell us otherwise, right? That the stadium is intact. It's not, that picture is not accurate. But Grok obviously was saying, no, it is. Like, how does this work in terms of what AI is fed, or what is happening here?
So see, like, when there's a huge influx of information which is happening, at the time of conflict, like, it's like 4-day war, and like everybody is like, sitting on social media and like, consuming and verifying the information from there. What they're also doing is, it's like a war of, as you said it yourself, that's a war of narrative. So it means like, if 100 people are feeding in that this happened, like, they are sharing the pictures of one stadium or one area which has been razed to the ground, and 10 people are like, as compared to 100, 10 people like, are sharing that, it's not like true. So because AI generative model like works like that, that it consumes or absorbs the information which comes in bundles, and it says that, okay, maybe like, more people have somehow like, more people have sent this information, so maybe it's truer. So it becomes harder to verify those information. So like, in this during this 4-day war, we saw the aerial dogfight videos which were coming in, and they were like, they said it happened like, few hours ago, it happened like, last night, it happened like. And when you actually put it in the fact checking tools, InVid, okay, so now here comes one tool, for instance, InVid, but also needs like, some more tools to verify that information. What InVid does, that you put in the video in it, it breaks it down into frame by frame.
Okay.
And like, you get all the frames. Now you have to analyze each frame and like, fact check each frame. So that's why it takes longer to like, fact check any video. And in the meantime, what is happening is that there is a flow of similar video is like, being fed and like saying different angles of it, or like, so what the Grok is, how Grok is processing it is that, okay, it is a true video, okay, it has been used. But while human intelligence is like, processing it, verifying it on its end, they are like, being fed at the same time the kind of propaganda which they want to peddle.
So just to ask here, so it's a combination of, it's not just the tool by itself that is just going to give you whether this is true or false, right? Because what you're saying here is that you can feed that in and it's going to separate it frame by frame, but it is a human on the other end who will have to conduct the analysis to get to a conclusion, right?
Yeah. Similarly, like, for that video which I was talking about, that dogfight. So once you analyze that video frame by frame, so there is like, a plane which is being shown, and you are seeing that this plane is not like, the model which Pakistan has or India has. Even like, both ends do not have those that plane. At the same time, like, there are motion graphics which are clearly like, generated, AI generated, which are like game graphics. So that like, things like these tell you that, okay, this is like, it's an AI generated AI generated video, and it is not like, from the same, it's not from the same event. So these things like, also need people to understand that who is peddling those information, and like, who is posting it. It was easier earlier, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was easier to understand because we have verified accounts. But since the Twitter has been taken over by X, things have like the governance policy has been changed, the information, social media has changed, and it has been recognized that how social media has been used to like override the narratives in terms of elections, conflict, in any case, and how this narrative is like is under face of information warfare, which is not the new thing. It has been in there for years. That's the reason like the phone has been tapped by the governments, like your internet has been like monitored by the governments. When you look at the Google's governance report, you see like how many websites have been blocked or like monitored or like asked to like taken down. That's the reason like India also used this thing that 8,000 accounts has been blocked of Pakistanis have been blocked in their country. So there is a reason like information warfare is like it's taken a very different narrative or face.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the DigiPod. This is all that we have for today.